Hello guys, Robot1 here, and today we are doing the Future of Yu-Gi-Oh! On my channel. And for you guys who don't know what the Future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, or just interesting cards or just good cards that will be good in the future. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. With obviously the first card that is on the screen, which is Supreme King Gate 0. Now this is the first Scale 0 monster in the game. It's a Dark Level 7 Fiend Pendulum. So, first of all, it's now. That's great. Just being able to pendulum summon Scale Zeros is a great thing now because we can actually play Scale Zeros, which is just great in general. Well, we can summon Scale 1s now. So, might tech this in Metal Foes when it comes out, yeah? So let's take no battle damage. So while you control this guy down here, who we'll be talking about in a moment, its next pendulum effect is, once per turn, if you have a Supreme King Gate Infinity in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy both cards in your pendulum zones, and if you do, add 1 polymerization. Okay, so basically you destroy this and Infinity Gate here, and then you search polymerization or something like, I don't know, let's say Instant Fusion. But yeah, that's the its monster effect is, once per turn you can target one other face-up card on you control, destroy both this card and that card, and if you do, special summon one Dragon type fusion monster or Dragon type synchro monster from your extra deck, but attack and defense becomes 0. It has its effects negated. Also, it cannot be used as a synchro or Xyz material for a summon. So you can destroy another card, summon, say you can summon Clearwing, you could summon Starving Venom, or hell, you could even summon Zark. Maybe, I think it doesn't need to be fusion summon. It does need to be fusion summon, but you can basically summon any dragon type fusion monster from the extra deck that doesn't have a requirement to summon. First effect, and its second effect is, if this card in the monster zone is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can place it in the pendulum zone. Okay, so it's got a bit of recyclability there, where if it dies, straight back into the pendulum zone. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's Supreme King Gate. Does it have any more effects? Nope. Okay, so let's go on to the Infinity Gate. Or Gate Infinity. So it's a scale 13, the first scale 13, so we can now pendulum summon. We can now pendulum summon. We can now pendulum summon level. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna turn off the phone noise so you guys don't have to deal with the beeps. Sorry. So it's the first scale 13, so it means pendulum summon an Egyptian God card, I think, if it doesn't have a requirement to be normal summoned, but I don't think it does. So you could be able to pendulum summon an Egyptian God card. But let's get into what it can do. It's a 13 Fiend, 0 attack, 0 defense. Its pendulum effect is, while you control a monster, you cannot pendulum summon. So essentially this is a little limitation that it has, which is actually quite a good idea, because if it was just a scale 7 that could summon anything, that'd be pretty stupid, which is good for it to just have a little restriction there, which is a great thing. Uh, the effect cannot be negated either. Its next effect is, once per turn, if you control Supreme Dragon King Zark, you target one face-up card your opponent face-up monster your opponent controls, gain life points equal to that to its attack. So essentially, you're just gaining big life points back, depending on the highest monster's attack on the field, obviously. Its monster's effects are, once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy 2, special summon 1 Dragon type Xyz or Dragon type Pendulum monster from your X deck, but its attack becomes 0. Its attack and defense becomes 0 if it has its effects negated, and also as a Synchro or Xyz material for a Synchro summon. For a summon. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place the card in the scale. Okay, so that essentially has the opposite effect of Zero Gate, where this would summon a fusion or a synchro or a wait, is it? Or did I get that wrong? Yeah, an Xyz or a Pendulum Dragon from the X deck. So it's basically opposite there, and also it has the same effect of Zero Gate, where it will go in the scale if it's destroyed. Okay, so those are the 2 gates. Let's move on to the next card, which is Supreme King Servant Dragon, Darkvium. Okay, Darkvium. I don't know how to pronounce the last VRM thing, but nonetheless, let's get straight into this. So it's a dark level 4, scale 5, 1800. Once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can place one Supreme King Gate Pendulum monster from your deck into your Pendulum Zone. Also, you cannot Pendulum summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except dark monsters. Okay, that's not bad. It means that you could essentially be like, oh, I'm going to put the scale 13 into the scale, and then I'm going to Pendulum summon, say, 3 Odd Eyes. I'm going to Pendulum summon, say, a Sark if he's in the extra deck, because we could put the Infinite Gate in there. We could put this in the scale, Pendulum summon as many Dark level 4 odd monsters we want. That's actually quite a good effect. Just being able to recycle the scale, just being able to play scales from effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Supreme Gate Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, so this is basically the searcher for these two then. This just helps you spin through your deck a bit faster and make things go along. Its last effect is, if this card is in your graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Supreme Dragon King Servant Darkvium once per turn. Okay, so that's basically, I'm in the graveyard, I control no monsters, special summon, get a search. So that's actually a really good effect, just being able to be like, oh, I special summon you, then just get either of these two to have a very high scale. So that's a great effect in general. I really do like that effect, these 3 cards, like, they're great synergy with each other. You obviously will play 3 of each in the deck because you want to be able to see them all. But yeah, I really do think these are some great cards. So the next card, Fusion monster, Supreme King Dragon Zark. So Supreme King Dragon Zark is a level 12 dark monster, scale 1, 4000 attack, 4000 defense. So obviously this is from the anime Zark's boss monster. We got it before Zark has actually got into the frame yet, so that's actually really cool. So let's get into its pendulum effect. It's from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase or the damage step, you can destroy that card or cards. So they use Pot of Desire to destroy the 2 draws they just got. In another way of saying it. Its monster effect is, and wow, there's a lot for the monster effect. Well, let's get into what it requires to summon it first. Okay, it requires 4 dragon type monsters, 1 fusion, 1 synchro, 1 Xyz, and 1 pendulum. So you have to have one pendulum monster, one pendulum dragon, one fusion dragon, one synchro dragon, and one Xyz dragon. Okay? And they all have to be dragons. And the good thing about this is that all of the new magician cards can be used to summon Zark, because they all count as pendulum. They all count as dragon, Xyz, synchros, fusions, and Xyz. So that's one of the good reasons to play this card already. And before anyone says anything, you cannot use Odd Eyes Fusion to summon this if your opponent controls 2 monsters, because the Odd Eyes Fusion itself says, it's just a little ruling. It says up to two monsters, Odd Eyes monsters from the extra deck. So if your opponent controls 2 monsters and you want to use Odd Eyes Fusion materials in hand, because you can only use 2 Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck, not 4. But now that I've said that, let's just get onto its monster effect. So its monster effect is, must be a fusion summon and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card is special summoned, destroy all cards your opponent controls. Okay, so that's basically on summon nuke. So it's kind of like a JD. It's got a Towers effect that is, cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So only way to get around it is with a lightning. Next effect is, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon one Supreme Dragon Servant Dragon from your deck, one Supreme King Servant Dragon from your deck, from your main deck, or extra deck. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place this card in the pendulum zone. So basically, this card is stupid beyond belief, because when it's summoned, it destroys all your opponent's cards on their field, or they control. It can summon from the deck monsters. It's an untargetable, undestroyable monster, and it puts itself in the scale to just be like a floodgate for all extra deck cards. So this card is just a great card in general to be able to make it. Like, there's no reason to play without it, and it's just a beautiful card in general. So when this card comes out, I'm going to want the highest rarity of it, because it's just such a nice looking card. But yeah, great card in general. I can't wait to be able to play this in real life. I've already been testing it as well. It's such a good card, and I can't wait to be able to use it in real life. But yeah, let's carry on with the video. So the next card we're talking about will be Duelist Advent. So this is a new Pendulum Search card, which says, it's a normal spell card, and its effect is, if a card is in the pendulum zone, add one pendulum monster or pendulum spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only activate one Duelist Advent per turn. Okay, this says Pendulum Zone, so if your opponent has a Pendulum monster in their Pendulum Zone, you can still add a card from your deck to your hand, because it's in their Pendulum Zone and it is in a Pendulum Zone. Another thing is, this card cannot search any Pendulum monster. It can only search Pendulum cards that have Pendulum in the name. So it can search Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, Pendulum Graph of the Ages, another one. Performer Power Pendulum Wizard. Sorcerer. So it can search any monster with Pendulum in the name. But in general, this card is a great card. It's going to do wonders for the meta, for Pendulum decks. Just a generic search card. It's like Wavering Eyes without having to destroy things. So it's just a great card in general. I can't wait to be using this. I'm going to be testing it in Magicians and everything. So yeah, you'll probably get some videos with that later on, especially with the Zark here. I have to test that. But yeah, guys, that's that. Let's move on to the final 2 cards we'll be talking about. And the first one is Cosmic Blaze Dragon. Now, Cosmic Blaze Dragon, this is a card that I believe was in the anime that we never knew about. It was used by Fake Yusei, I believe, in the anime in the future, so we never actually knew about it. So let's get onto it, because I may be wrong, guys. I don't remember. It's been years since I've watched 5Ds. But I know this card was in the anime because we just didn't know about what it does. We saw it, but we didn't know what it does. What it did. In Synchro, 4000 attack, 4000 defense. It requires 1 tuner Synchro monster and 2 or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. So just the same as Quasar. Its effect is, must be Synchro turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can banish this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So that's the first effect. So it's kind of got a normal Stardust effect there, where it negates. But it's kind of bad because, like, you're destroying this card. You're destroying your own card to be able to, bring it back. Its next effect is, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can banish this card, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So its next turn, if your opponent would summon a monsters, you can banish this card, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monsters. Okay, so basically it's a summon negator as well, which is pretty good. It's got this kind of like a Thunder King Ryo effect. It can negate an entire pendulum summon, which is also really good. The last effect is, I believe it's the last effect. During either player's turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card, negate the attack, then end the battle phase. During the end phase, if this card's effect was activated this turn and was not negated, return it return this card, banish to activate that effect to the field. Okay, so basically, if you use any of the effects that I just mentioned, you can summon it back during the end phase. Just saying. Even though it doesn't leave the field, though, even though this card leaves the field, this card has 3 more effects that has 2 additional effects that just do so much more. Like, being able to negate a summon, for starters, that's just completely stupid. Just negating the summon in general. Say, your opponent pendulum summons 5, you activate this effect, your opponent now loses 5 monsters. That's just stupid in general. Which is just amazing. Plus, it can also negate the battle phase, which is just another stupid thing. So, yeah, Cosmic Blaze Dragon is just a new Quasar that's just a lot better. So, yeah, I suggest you do try it out if you're a Synchro player. Personally, I won't be testing it because I'm not the biggest Synchro player, but in general, this is a great card. I can't wait to see what people do with this. Okay, so the last card we're going to be talking about is number 28, Titanic Moth. New numbers that were in the manga that we hadn't got yet. So it is a fire, rank 7, insect, 2400 attack, 2200 defense. Its effect, it requires 2 level 7 monsters to make, and its effect is, while you control no other monsters, this card can attack your opponent directly. But when it does, so using this effect, the battle damage inflicted to your opponent is halved. So essentially you attack them directly, you deal 1200. Not bad. Its next effect is, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. Okay, so if you attack directly, you could essentially, and your opponent has, say, 5 cards in hand, you could be dealing a total of 3,700 damage. So that's not a bad effect. Personally, I think this card may be a one-of for rank 7 level 7 decks, but it's not the greatest effect. Like, it's a good effect because if your opponent has big hand advantage, then you can use it perfectly, but your opponent doesn't always have big hand advantage. So, it's a great card, but it can have its downsides as well. But, yeah, guys, that's the last card we were talking about. Like, I know at the end there, after this, it kind of got a little underhyped with this, but Tell me what you think of all these cards in general, because like the Supreme King Zark cards, the new Cosmic Blaze Dragon, the new Pendulum Searcher, even this Moth has some sort of relevance. But all of these cards are really good cards, and I can't wait to see what happens with them in the meta. But yeah, guys, tell me what you think of these cards in the comment section below. Tell me if you liked the video, and tell me if you want to do more of these, because I usually only talk about cards that I'm interested in, but if you want to see other cards as well in these sorts of videos, or maybe more of these videos every week again, because I used to do this weekly now. And as always, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.